What's going on, everybody? My name is CD, and today I want to talk a little bit about the assault rifles in Modern Warfare, and I want to go through all of the assault rifles that are available to you in Modern Warfare and Warzone, and kind of rank them in a tier list based on what I believe is the best all-around assault rifle down to the not as good assault rifle, or the worst assault rifles in the game. Now, these are all based off of my opinions of the weapon, and having gotten Damascus, I have used all of these assault rifles for a pretty good amount of time, but there obviously are attachments that can make each assault rifle a little bit better or a little bit worse, as well as your playstyle can affect how good or how bad an assault rifle is. And at the top, most of you probably already know, in the S tier, we have the Grau 5.56 and the M4A1. I mean, if you've played any Modern Warfare, if you watched any competitive Modern Warfare or any Warzone, these are the assault rifles that you probably see used most often when people get their loadouts. And then in the multiplayer, any sort of competitive scene, I think the M4A1 is really the only assault rifle I've seen used. You guys also may know that, in my opinion, I do like the Grau 5.56 a little bit more when we're talking about Warzone over the M4A1. I'm a fan of guns with a little bit less recoil, and I believe that the Grau 5.56 does have a little bit less recoil than the M4A1, as well as a cleaner iron sight, so we don't have to use an attachment on the sight, on the red dot, and we can use that somewhere else. Those are the two assault rifles that you're going to be wanting to use if you're really trying to make your best loadout and stand the best chance against the competition. Next up, we have Tier A. So these are obviously not quite in the S tier, not quite that high up, but they are still decent assault rifles. And those are the Kilo 141 and the M13. So the Kilo 141, I've thought since the beginning of the game, was just like a little bit worse than the M4A1. It's still pretty good, just doesn't have the power that the M4A1 has, which just, why would you use it then? Why would you use the Kilo 141 if it's just a little bit worse than the M4A1? And very similarly, the M13. So the M13 just doesn't hit as hard as it could, but it shoots a lot of bullets and it doesn't have a lot of recoil. It just needs to hit a little bit harder. I've seen the M13 used a little bit in Warzone actually, and I always notice that you get so many hit markers and then the enemy ends up getting away or getting around a corner and healing up, and then you're really kind of stuck in that position. Whereas I think if you had the Grau, if you had the M4A1, you had a better chance of downing them before they could get away from you. And this is really just how weapons in Call of Duty are. There's always going to be the better weapon, so why would you even use any of these other guns? That's just kind of how it is. Where other games, maybe there's bigger pros and cons in the same weapon class, there really just isn't that, in my opinion, in Call of Duty. If you're going to use an AR, you're going to use the S tier weapons. For the B tier here, we have the Ram 7, which is kind of more of like a close range SMG. It has pretty bad recoil, and it's just not really that good. It's like a hybrid, like an AR SMG hybrid. But if you're looking to play Warzone, I don't know if you want that hybrid. I think you want a longer range AR, or if you want a closer range gun, you throw on Overkill and you throw on an SMG or something along those lines that just excels in those close range scenarios. After that, I have the Odin. So the Odin is very powerful, but the recoil is very bad and it's very inconsistent. Some people I have heard do enjoy using the Odin. I just can't put it in any higher tier because those other guns they hit more consistently, I guess, where the Odin, that recoil just takes it away, and depending on how far away the person you're shooting at is, you're probably going to be missing quite a few shots, and by that time you're probably dead. And also in that B tier, the final one here, the AK-47. So similarly, the AK-47 in this game hits pretty hard, but it does bounce quite a bit, making you miss a lot of your shots, and it just has a crazy vertical recoil. So if somebody's up close or maybe even mid-range, I think you could get some kills with the AK. But the thing that stands out in my head right now is I don't know if it's gray or green AK-47 that you can pick up off the floor loot in Warzone. It is awful because it has the iron sights on it, and you can't see anything once you start shooting. On to the next tier here, the C tier. So we have the Scar 17. It's just very similar. It's very similar to like the AK-47 there. It hits, I would say, even a little bit less hard than the AK, and it still has that recoil that's just unusable. You know, why would you use the Scar when you could use so many guns that are better? And then the FAL is also in that tier, and it's just single shot gun. Single shot guns in Call of Duty are always either OP, like top of the list if you have a quick trigger finger, or they are at the bottom of the barrel because there's a cap put on them, or the recoil is too high and you just can't hit enough shots quick enough. And sadly, in Modern Warfare, the FAL falls down. It's just not the gun you're going to want to be using if you're trying to use an AR. And then finally, the final D tier, I have the FR556, especially for Warzone. This gun is awful. If you've picked up the FAMAS floor gun, it is awful. I don't even know how many bursts you have to hit to actually kill someone from any sort of distance. It feels like a whole clip, which is like 10 bursts or something. I've actually just stopped picking up that FAMAS off the ground, and I just would rather use my pistol at that point. So here is the entire tier list that we've gone through here. Like I said, you're gonna be using one of those S tier weapons. There's really no point in not using it unless you really are in love with some of these other guns, hopefully in that A, maybe B tier. I would hope A tier. Tell me what you guys think. Tell me what your favorite assault rifle is. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe it's like the AK-47 or something. I don't know. If you guys did enjoy the video, click that like button down below. If you guys have any questions on the tier list, or if you guys are looking for different loadouts for some of these weapons, check out some of my other videos. So if you guys have not already, we'll see you guys later.